I'm Jessica. Today, I want to share a personal story about my life. I'll talk about my tough childhood filled with family problems and how I found my own way. Growing up, I often felt invisible, like I didn't matter. My parents, Carol and David, were very different from each other and often argued loudly. Their fighting created a heavy tension in our home that lasted even after they stopped shouting. "Carol, why can't you see things my way?" David would yell, filled with frustration. "Because not everything you think is right," Carol would respond, her voice strong but tired. As a young girl, I found comfort in hiding in small corners of our house, holding a book or a doll, trying to be as unnoticeable as possible. These fights happened often and built a wall between me and my parents. But it was their divorce that really changed how I saw the world and my place in it. David left suddenly, creating a gap where a father should be. He quickly moved on, getting new partners and even having new kids. This made me feel even more like an afterthought in his life. "Jessica, it's just you and me now. We'll manage on our own," Carol said softly but firmly, trying to bring some normalcy back to our lives. Her strength was both inspiring and sad. Despite struggling to pay bills and working many hours, Carol's love never faded. She held multiple jobs, like waitressing and selling crafts at markets. Our home was small and we didn't have many luxuries, but Carol's love filled it with warmth and laughter. "Let's bake some cookies, Jessica. It will make the house smell nice," she would say on her rare days off. These simple moments became the best parts of my childhood, a happy contrast to how I felt ignored and neglected by David. As time went on, I realized how devoted Carol was to raising me. She was my anchor amid the emotional storms caused by David's absence. Each birthday he missed and every school event he didn't attend made me feel more abandoned. Tragedy struck during my junior year of college when my mother, Carol, passed away unexpectedly. Her absence left a huge hole in my life, making me feel even more alone. At her funeral, the many mourners around me only deepened my feelings of solitude. David, who had been so distant in my life, suddenly appeared. "Jessica, I'm so sorry, your mom was amazing," he said awkwardly, his voice unfamiliar. Despite our past, he helped with the funeral arrangements, giving me a small hope that we could possibly repair our broken relationship in the weeks that followed. As I tried to adjust to my new life without Carol, I thought about reconnecting with David. With his 50th birthday coming up, I saw a chance to bridge the long gap between us. "I think I'll throw David a big 50th birthday party," I told my friend Sarah while we drank coffee at a cozy cafe. The idea felt like a big step, like reaching out across the gap between us. "That's really generous of you, but are you sure? It's a lot of emotional investment," Sarah replied, looking worried. "It's what Mom would have wanted," I said, my voice mixed with determination and doubt. She always hoped we'd make up, and maybe this was a way to start. Preparing for the party helped distract me from my grief. I dove into planning, picking the perfect venue, choosing a menu that David would enjoy, and inviting all his friends and family. Every detail was carefully thought out, showing my hope for a fresh start. When the day of the party arrived, I felt cautiously optimistic. The venue looked beautiful, decorated with David's favorite flowers, and soft music filled the air. Guests started to arrive, their faces showing excitement and curiosity. However, as the time for David to arrive came and went, my anxiety grew. 30 minutes turned into an hour. Just when I was about to call him, my phone buzzed with a message. "Sorry, running a bit late, kiddo. See you soon," David texted. His casual tone didn't help ease the knot in my stomach. Finally, he showed up, but not alone. He brought his new wife, Lisa, and her son, Michael, who looked a bit out of place among my mother's friends and our family. The tension in the room was thick as David walked through the crowd, greeting people in a detached way. As the night went on, the initial warmth of the party faded into a strained politeness. I watched from a distance, feeling heavy-hearted as David interacted with Lisa and Michael, laughing and sharing stories while I remained on the sidelines. I was the event organizer, but felt strangely disconnected. The evening was filled with a mix of hope and disappointment, highlighting the stark difference between what I expected and what was actually happening. This moment became crucial in redefining my relationship with David. What was meant to be a gesture of reconciliation instead emphasized the deep divisions between us, setting the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. David's 50th birthday party was filled with a mix of cautious hope and celebration. Guests filled the beautifully decorated venue, but I felt nervous underneath my calm exterior. Everything had been arranged perfectly: the shiny silverware, flickering candles, and the soft chatter of familiar voices. It all looks lovely, Jessica. You've really outdone yourself, Aunt Maggie whispered, squeezing my hand for reassurance. Thanks, I just hope he appreciates it, I replied as time dragged on. Each minute felt longer as we waited for David to arrive. Finally, he arrived an hour late, visibly drunk, with Lisa and Michael by his side. The energy in the room shifted, and discomfort filled the air. Look at this place, Jessica sure knows how to throw a party when she wants to, David slurred, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Lisa laughed awkwardly and glanced around. Yes, it's quite something. When I went to greet them, David leaned in, his breath smelling of alcohol. You really didn't have to do all this, kid, but it's nice, really nice. As dinner continued, an underlying tension grew. I watched David, Lisa, and Michael laughing together, sharing inside jokes that were often too loud. Guests exchanged uneasy looks, their polite smiles hiding their discomfort. When it was time for David to speak, the room quieted in anticipation. He clinked his glass and stood unsteadily. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, especially my beautiful wife Lisa and my stepson Michael. They're my real family now. They make every day worth living. A murmur went through the crowd as my heart sank with every word. Then he added, and to my daughter Jessica, well, she's here too, always trying to make things right. But we all have our regrets, don't we? My biggest was probably saying, I do to her mother, wouldn't you agree? David's casual cruelty cut through the murmurs like a knife. My face burned as everyone turned to look at me with pity and shock. With my voice tight from emotion, I managed to say, is that really what you think, David? Oh, come on, lighten up. It's just a joke, he laughed, but the damage was done. The room fell silent, the festive mood shattered. Feeling a mix of anger and devastation, I made a quick decision. I think it's best if you leave, David. Please just go. David scoffed, fine. Come on, Lisa, Michael, let's go somewhere we're appreciated. As they left, whispers began, but amid the chaos, I felt a strange sense of relief. The evening ended not with the joy I hoped for, but with a clarity I didn't realize I needed. This birthday, meant to bring us closer, only confirmed the vast distance between us and marked the end of my attempts to bridge that gap. After the disastrous birthday party, the fallout was swift and harsh. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from Lisa and Michael, each one more hurtful than the last. You embarrassed David in front of everyone. What kind of daughter does that? Lisa's message flashed across my screen, setting the tone for the blame and anger to follow. Nice job ruining Dad's 50th, Jessica. You really showed your true colors tonight, Michael added, his words like salt in an open wound. As the messages piled up, my resolve to maintain any connection with David and his new family started to crumble. The pain of his speech echoed in my mind, replaying during the quiet moments of the night. His jokes felt like deliberate jabs, undermining the fragile relationship we had. In the midst of this turmoil, David tried to reach out. His texts were a mix of awkward apologies and excuses. Jessica, I didn't mean it like that. You know I get stupid when I drink. Can we talk? Everyone says things they don't mean. Let's not let this ruin what we're trying to build. But what were we trying to build? His actions spoke louder than his half-hearted messages, revealing a truth I had always known but never fully accepted. Each message and attempted call pulled me deeper into a whirlpool of emotion. I longed for a family connection but also needed to protect my mental health. This internal battle was exhausting, leaving me drained and uncertain. One evening, sitting alone in my apartment with the weight of everything pressing down, I opened my journal and began to write. The words flowed out, messy and raw. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Why do I let him in only to be hurt again and again? That's when I realized that while the desire for familial love would always be part of me, it shouldn't come at the cost of my well-being. This realization was painful yet freeing. Deciding to take control, I responded to David with a finality that surprised even me. I need space. The things you said hurt more than you know. Maybe one day we can try again, but for now, I have to step back for my own good. Sending that message felt like closing a heavy door on a windy night, difficult but necessary. The immediate silence that followed was a relief, though the echoes of those hurtful words lingered. In the days that followed, I focused on healing and rebuilding the peace in my life that family chaos had disrupted. I spent time with friends who lifted me up, took long walks in the park, and rediscovered the joys of solitude and self-care. Slowly, my anger and pain began to fade, replaced by a cautious hope for a future on my own terms. In the weeks after my father's birthday, I decided to step back from David, Lisa, and Michael. While this choice was painful, it became the foundation of my journey towards self-reliance and personal growth. Detaching wasn't easy, it took conscious effort every day. At first, there were moments of doubt and loneliness, especially when my phone stayed silent in my small apartment. But I filled those silences with new activities that gradually transformed my life. I dove into my career, taking on new projects that excited me. The sense of accomplishment I felt at work boosted my confidence and spilled over into other areas of my life. I joined a local book club where I met people who shared my love for literature. One evening, my new friend Elena said, "It's so refreshing to discuss books with someone as insightful as you, Jessica." Her simple, sincere words highlighted the value of the connections I was building, connections based on mutual respect and shared interests, rather than family obligation. As the months went by, the pain of separating from my family faded into a dull ache, overshadowed by the vibrant new relationships I was creating. I learned to enjoy my own company, which made me more selective about who I spent my time with. With each passing day, I found peace in my independent life. Long walks became my meditation, and writing in my journal every evening helped me process my thoughts and emotions, turning chaotic whispers into coherent narratives. One evening, sitting in my favorite corner of my apartment with a cup of tea, I gazed out at the city lights. The bustling sounds outside brought a comforting realization: I was part of a larger world where I could make my own choices and shape my own destiny. I used to think being alone meant being lonely, I mused, but now I see it means being strong, content with who I am, and knowing what I want. The decision to distance myself from David and his family had been emotionally difficult, but it led me to a moment of clarity and contentment. I no longer felt tied to the painful dynamics of my past. Instead, I felt free to build a future that resonated with who I was and who I wanted to be. As I set down my tea and picked up a pen to jot down thoughts for a new project, a smile spread across my face. Embracing solitude had not only brought me peace, but also opened doors to new opportunities and experiences I never thought possible. Looking ahead, I felt excited about the chapters yet to be written in my life, confident that I was on a path of my own making. The peace I found in solitude was profound, a testament to the strength that comes from choosing oneself. I was eager to see where this newfound independence would lead me. As we conclude Jessica's journey of self-discovery and personal growth, it raises a thought-provoking question: is cutting ties with family members a valid option for protecting one's mental health? Or should family always be preserved, no matter the emotional cost? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found Jessica's story compelling, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Your support helps us continue to share these narratives.